Teague.
And I'm Sam.
And we are your well-informed girlfriends.
Bringing you today's news, gossip, and unsolicited hot takes. This week, we're talking about what to do if there's an earthquake/tsunami. Not something we thought we needed to fear, not gonna lie. How President Trump recently fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics after a job report with data he just didn't like. Plus, a new dating term for an old problem called man-keeping.
Wow, I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah.
I feel like that could go a few different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we'll also be chatting about golden passports for Americans trying to leave the U.S. potentially, whether pets are good for the environment, and the wild ways in which the American birth rate is changing.
Oh, how?
Yeah. And who's giving birth.
Oh, okay, T.
Yeah, very interesting.
I'm also excited to talk about hetero-fatalism, which is when straight women are like over men, but date and marry them anyway.
Oh, like a lavender marriage?
No. That's something different. We'll explain it. So stay tuned for more. All that and so much more on this week's episode of Well-Informed Girlfriends.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So our first story, we really should talk about the earthquake in Russia that happened this week. It was an 8.1 or 8.8 magnitude earthquake.
Crazy.
In Russia, which was insane. And then it triggered these 2 volcano eruptions. Also in Russia. So that was pretty crazy. Then there was like the tsunami warnings that were happening not only in like LA, but also in Hawaii and kind of across the West Coast. And so it's kind of got us thinking, like, what should we be doing to prepare? Look, I know that like we live in West Hollywood. We're very far from the ocean, probably like 10 miles. So a tsunami is like not realistically what we should be worrying about. But the big one is set to be happening at some point in the next 30 years. They say allegedly the big earthquake that will be hitting LA. So I was like wondering, like, am I prepared? Do you feel like you're prepared?
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I am not. After the fires, we bought a fire safe.
Okay, great.
Is that a start?
Yeah. Okay, I guess a fire safe is good. So anyways, while I was spiraling the other night, because I was like, am I going to go down in a tsunami? By the way, no. And then I was like looking at like
far from the ocean. If anything, our property will be beachfront, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but also then it was like, okay, but earthquakes like could be affecting us. And I'm kind of in the hills of LA.
Yeah.
So like in my area, I looked it up and there was this term that I had never heard. It was like liquefied, whatever area. So like essentially like if anything happens in my area, the entire hill just like becomes liquid and just like falls onto itself.
Oh, okay.
Which was
like
great
the mudslides in Malibu.
Essentially.
That took out like Oprah and Miley Cyrus's place.
Exactly.
There are just so many things to fear in LA, but you really just can't beat the weather, you guys.
And the taxes are great. No, I'm just kidding. So anyways, this got me thinking, like, I really wanted to put a go bag together, which I hadn't had any of these things, but tell me if you do.
Okay.
Okay, so I ordered a bunch of things like at 1 a.m. on Amazon because I was like, I want to be prepared.
Just as one does, sure.
LOL, first thing was a hard hat.
Okay, obviously don't have that.
Okay, but like I actually thought this was really smart because obviously if there's an earthquake, you want to like make sure if anything like were to fall, or if you're in a building that for instance isn't retrofitted, like is your building retrofitted? Do you even know that? You can look it up.
No friggin' idea, dude.
Okay, well, it's a thing. Then a lot of these buildings in LA are not retrofitted, like that they're not prepared for earthquakes, theoretically.
Based on my HOA success rate with other things, I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not.
Yeah. Okay, so a hard hat was something I ordered, which is actually insane. Yeah, but I ordered it. Emergency water pouches and purification tablets. So if you have to drink water, like at some point, if it, whatever, you have these like purification tablets that could make like any source of water drinkable.
Cool.
So that's a thing. A flashlight. I didn't have a flashlight. Did you?
I mean, I have an iPhone and like a bunch of external batteries. Is that not good enough?
Well, I mean, if you can still have service and you can still access battery.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you probably bought one of the like ones that you have to crank to power it in case of emergency, or like a solar powered one.
It's like a crank powered flashlight radio combo.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh, a radio.
Not a big deal.
We used to have those at NBC. Like if something were to happen, we needed to be like prepared. Yeah. So they're like station issued radios like that, so they can I guess make us go into the newsroom. I don't know if they were worried about our safety or just like us getting to work,
the content.
But, news problems.
Yeah. Another thing I ordered, which I didn't have weirdly, was N95 masks again.
Oh, I still got a bunch of those.
Yeah, but like keep those on in your go bag. Work gloves I didn't order, but like they said that's a thing. And a mini crowbar I also didn't order, but also kind of makes sense if you have to like get out of something.
Sure.
And then cash and small bills.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how you're like stores aren't going to be open if there's a big. Who knows?
I feel like there's just going to be.
It's also unpredictable. Yeah.
I'm not saying go
Yeah.
out and loot, to be clear. No one cancel me. But yeah. And then, so did you put all this in like a bag?
Yeah,
Okay.
all my items are coming in this week, and I'm going to be putting them in my go bag.
You know, I saw that. I did Google this last time. And
Yeah.
also, like, I lived in Washington State before. They're also expecting a big one that will, like, knock the West Coast into the ocean or whatever.
Yeah.
And they make these really aesthetic go bags now that are, like, hundreds of dollars. You
Yeah.
could just, like, casually spend $400
It makes
on, like,
sense.
a couture emergency bag. And the
Yeah.
whole concept is, like, oh, be fancy. Leave it out in your guest room. Like, whatever. And I was like,
Hilarious.
should I buy this? I didn't. Spoiler alert. I'm just going to, like,
That
run
sounds
around.
like something you would buy.
It does feel on brand for me, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, no, I did not purchase.
That's hilarious. The other thing I thought was interesting when I was doing all my doom scrolling was
Yeah.
they were saying like when there is an earthquake, don't go outside because like the number one cause of injuries in earthquakes is when like there's falling debris.
Oh.
So I always thought like instinctively like because I'm on the not the ground level but almost the ground level in my place. So I'm like, oh, I was always like, oh, I need to go outside just in case something happens to the building. But apparently that's like not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to like stay where you are. And then listen to this. They said if you're in bed, stay there and cover your head with a pillow. I'm like, I'm
that
not
makes
laying
sense.
there with a pillow on my head if there's an earthquake. I'm getting up and like finding.
You're supposed to stand in the door frame, right?
Well, they say that's not always the best advice either. So yeah.
So wait, what are you supposed to do then?
I mean, it says
Lay in
like-
bed and cover your head with a pillow?
Yeah, which I don't like that advice. That one I like freaks me out. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be like able to just like lay there. I mean, I guess theoretically.
It depends
It
on
only
how,
is like a minute.
how deep into sleep am I? Because
Right.
I might not even wake up, honestly. I might just die or whatever.
Right. Which honestly would be better than like having to like
Crowbar your way out.
crowbar your way out of the rubble.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
This took a turn.
Yeah. But that I thought was an interesting story because it's like all these things you don't think you have to think about until
Until it happens.
you have to think about it.
I know. So, and yeah, I think probably having your documents all somewhere safe and all that kind of stuff is important too, right? You're supposed to take that with
documents
you.
and stuff. But it's also like at that point, who knows what it like? That's the thing. It's like so hard to predict like what it would look like. So do you need documents anymore? Who knows?
I mean, is this a post-apocalyptic, a post-United States
Yeah, you're right.
situation?
No, I
is this
guess
a
you're right.
fallout situation?
No,
like,
because
what are we talking
the
about?
whole country can't go
The whole
down at one
country's not
time.
going down deep.
All right, Sam, you said it, not me. Knock on wood.
Okay, I'm manifesting the country not going down. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that's a controversial opinion. So I
It's
think
not.
we're okay. But speaking of this country and the various things happening in it,
Yeah.
let's talk about Donald Trump and the Bureau of Labor Secretary.
This was crazy.
This was so crazy. So President Trump on Friday fired the head of the agency that makes the job figures report after the report showed hiring slowed in July, and it also retroactively adjusted the numbers for the previous 2 months to show
Mhm.
that they were actually worse than what they initially said.
Yeah.
And then he, in a post on Truth Social, alleged that the figures have been manipulated for political reasons, and he had no evidence for that, I guess you should say.
No.
And basically, now everybody's worried about the accuracy of the job numbers going forward and whether or not the data from the US can be trusted. That said, we should mention there are like other places that report on the job numbers and like how the economy is doing. There are other economic indicators that people use, especially Wall Street and investors and that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Can people trust the numbers now? And like if people are worried about being fired if they release something Trump doesn't like, I know a lot of people who are unemployed, though generally not in government. Like, what do you think? I don't know.
No, I think this is really scary, honestly, in my opinion, because I just feel like if we're firing people just because we don't, and that's the thing that was actually really shocking to me, like at least come up with some sort of like, I don't know, like any reason that would make any sense to fire somebody other than like you don't like the numbers. Like that doesn't even make sense. He didn't really have any evidence.
I mean, he said they were manipulated, so that was his reasoning.
Yeah, but that's not really like it's.
That's not
but
a
there's no
reason. He didn't
proof
have any
on
proof
that.
of-
There's no proof of that.
There's
So
no proof of anything.
right, yeah, exactly. So I
Politely.
just think like that was just I thought that was really upsetting and concerning, especially like I know so many people who are unemployed right now, and I mean I think we really need accurate numbers when all of this, you know, especially with everything that's changing in the AI space and all of the government employees who have lost their jobs. Like we really need an accurate depiction of what's happening in the country to make educated, you know, decisions about everything in our life, what we're investing in, what we're doing, what we're, you know, if we're applying to certain jobs or not, or leaving a job or whatever. Like, I think like that is so important to have accurate numbers behind that stuff, that it's like shocking that we would get rid of someone just because you don't quote unquote like what you saw. Like, if you don't like what you saw, you should change something. Or, I don't know. Like, it's very strange to me. I didn't like it. It's scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Agree, for sure.
Don't like it. Okay, so our next story is about Americans who are seeking Caribbean golden passports. So this is a thing that's like happened for a long time. I didn't really know. People do it in like Europe or whatever, but basically, and I think you can also do it in the United States. It's basically when you buy either property or like do large investments into places. So a growing number of Americans are buying Caribbean golden passports, which grant essentially dual citizenship through these investment programs, starting at $100,000. So you can either buy a piece of property or whatever. But anyways, the consultants are saying that this is mainly due to anxiety over U.S. politics and global instability. So people are starting to put their money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Just as like kind of an insurance policy. It's like if anything happens here, or if like big policy changes or big changes happen here in America, they have another place to go as a backup plan. So I thought that was interesting. What do you think about that?
I mean, like, I think people have been doing this for a while. I have to say, I'm not really surprised by that. I feel like I've seen a lot of my friends investigating whether or not they could get citizenship to their parents' home country or what have you, just in case, is sort of like an insurance policy.
Yeah.
I don't know how economically like fruitful the Caribbean is at all times. Like, I don't know what you're investing in down there or like where or when. I mean, like, that wouldn't probably be my first choice. But I think I mean, like, I get why, you know?
Yeah, I think it's theoretically just like picking a place that is like relatively easy to do it and it's relatively cheap. Like, it's, I mean, relatively.
Sure, yeah.
So,
compared to LA prices, for example.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like
I totally get
getting
that.
into a place and then it's like easier to do it there. Like, it's probably, but I know Portugal does this as well.
Yes, I've looked at
Portugal's
Portugal's program because like a lot of people did that during the pandemic too. They just moved to Portugal for the vibes, which gel.
Yeah.
Sounds great, actually.
No, absolutely. Portugal looks amazing. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Crazy. Our next story is about pets. I think it's safe to say we all love, some of us potentially maybe a little obsessed with our pets.
Yeah.
The New York Times had this really interesting story this week, though, about their impact on the environment.
What do you mean?
Evidently, they're not so good for it. They cited this UCLA study that found there are 163 million cats and dogs in the U.S. that eat about a quarter of the country's animal-derived calories. So if like U.S. dogs and cats were their own country, they would rank 5th in global meat consumption. Like, that's
meat
how much meat. Yeah, our pets are eating. Like, of 100% of all the calories in the U.S. that come from meat products, I guess 25% of it goes to our cats and dogs. Yeah.
Okay.
So like the pet foods that are fancier, for example, like human grade meat ones, they're even worse for the environment. I guess a 45-pound dog on a raw food diet actually has a higher food related environmental toll than most meat eating humans. That's according to like the same study. So kind of interesting. Did you know that? I had no idea.
How does that affect the environment?
Oh, so the more red meat, especially, you eat, the worse it is for the environment. They say one of the best things you can do for the environment, apart from reducing food waste, is to stop eating red meat because cows, this is such a silly story, but like cows' flatulence releases carbon, whatever, into the atmosphere, and that contributes to greenhouse gases. There's also like the cost of electricity to run farms and like keep whatever, raising heads of cattle, and it takes up a lot of land, blah, blah, blah. There are a bunch of reasons that eating meat are kind of like, it's not great for the environment. Please don't cancel me online. That's just the rules. I am not making them. But anyways, I guess they also found that their pets' waste are really bad for the environment. The poop bags we use for dog poop, even if they're made from like recycled plastic or labeled compostable, not great still. And pets that go potty outside can like, spread dangerous pathogens in their waste. Did you know that? Like
to humans?
Yeah. Like you could spread leptospirosis, or like cats have these cats actually have more than dogs even outside. So they're like, that's what they're up to. Anyways.
Wow.
I know.
That's interesting. I mean, you're not going to change anything about your existence with your pet. You're not going to change Pepper's diet because of this.
So one of the suggestions they made, apart from like not letting your pets be free roaming out in the wild, because cats can also like kill native species like moles or whatever, are roaming around your neighborhood. I don't think if they kill rats, that's like a big deal, but like they could get sick from them.
Yeah.
But no, Pepper is not free range. Pepper is a Pomeranian that lives inside my home at all times. She does not even like being outdoors. So we're good on that front. But they also suggested switching to dry dog food, especially dog food that is like, it uses chicken or pork instead of beef. And then they also say that you have to make up your dog's poop because otherwise they can like spread disease. So
Yeah, no, for sure.
and
That
I always
makes
pick up
sense.
Pepper's poop. Let the record reflect.
Yeah.
And, they said if you can flush it down the toilet at your home, that's better too. Obviously, like
Oh.
if you go out in your backyard and pick it up, that would be easier to do than say me walking down the street of West Hollywood. But
Yeah.
anyways. Oh, and the
Wow.
last thing was adopting and not shopping, which Pepper is a rescue. Shout out to OC Palm Rescue.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, not getting rid of her. Unlucky for her. She can stay, I guess.
Yeah. That's interesting. I feel like people don't, that's a story that I like had no idea about. So.
I had no idea pets were bad for the environment. I was just thinking about it like being good for my mental health.
Well, and you know, and in that way, it's probably like a neutral.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
know, it's a
I
net
think you
neutral.
could just call it a net neutral.
Yeah.
That feels fair to me. Don't feel bad about your pets, everyone.
No, I don't
Just
think they
be
do.
responsible, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. What ages do you consider to be middle-aged?
Middle age.
Yeah, like this isn't a trick question. Just like in your mind's
Yeah.
eye, what do you think of when you think
I
of
don't know, like
middle-aged?
45
Yeah, to like when? Retirement?
not to 65. 65 is not middle age.
Okay, I don't know.
45? Why?
Oh, okay. I was just asking. Okay, so there was this opinion piece in Allure recently by this woman named Valerie Monroe, who is the self-identified old lady, by the way, not my words. She never actually revealed her age. And she wrote this piece asking whatever happened to the idea of middle age. She said that like changing attitudes, people living longer, better physical health than old people, being more socially active, has people feeling younger than what tradition might have indicated. And she had said, she mentions in the story, she tried to call some actress who was 67 middle-aged, and everyone's like, what is 40 then? Infancy? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And she was just like, well, I still feel middle-aged. I'm still working. Like, and I have to say, my mom is still working. I feel like she would still tell you, I think she would have said she was middle-aged until like recently, and she's in her 70s. So I don't know. Anyways, I was just curious. She concluded today, by the way, that midlife is defined more by like where you're at in your life, engagements and presence, and like rather like than numbers. But I think generally people, when I Googled this before this podcast, people say it's 40 to like 65, but that feels like a very wide range of middle age.
That is a wide range, but I guess that does in theory make sense, because what's after middle age? You say
being
like
a senior, I guess.
being a senior?
Yeah, like
Okay.
if you're a senior, are you elderly? Is that the same to you?
No.
I feel like elderly is like 80 plus, and then like senior is 65 or 55 or not. I don't.
To me, I don't think of it as in numbers either. Like
I don't either.
think
Yeah,
like
it's like
elderly.
what's your vibe?
I think elderly is like when somebody is like not doing as much, not as active.
Yeah.
To me,
You're
it's
like at
your
home.
lifestyle has changed significantly.
I feel
That feels like elderly, but like you know, like senior, like I don't feel like that's even, you know, if you're still able to like do stuff.
Oh,
after
for sure.
65.
My grandma lived in like a senior living facility for years, and she was still very mobile. She went to sit and fit, which is when you work out seated,
Mhm.
kind of like Pilates, but a lot easier.
Yeah.
And like, I think that kept her alive longer, but I don't think she would have said she was elderly either until like probably 70 plus. So I don't know. I'm just, or not
Interesting.
elderly. I don't know. I'm just curious because I also feel like we keep our moms young, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they don't feel like, I would say they feel middle-aged to me.
Yeah, they're middle aged.
That's my opinion. So
No,
anyway,
I agree. That's interesting.
speaking of age,
Wow, speaking of age. Okay, so there was a new report from NCHS that contained some surprising details about who is pregnant nowadays.
okay.
Basically, the conclusion is that the fertility rate, as we know, is already down in the US.
Sure.
But women who are in their teens are having less children. And now the biggest subset of people having children, not the biggest subset, but one of the growing numbers of women having children is over 40, which I thought was interesting. And this is something we've kind of echoed in several episodes. But basically, researchers say there's a number of possibilities why there's a gradual increase in the age of new mothers. And it's basically about social expectations, values, money is always a big part of it.
Yeah.
Changes in technology and dating behavior in general. Obviously the economic burden, which we just mentioned, and the increasing college enrollment among women. So women are just doing things a little bit later in life, and this is kind of something we've talked about before. But yeah, people are having children later, and I thought it was interesting that the fertility rate amongst younger girls, teens, it's not happening as much.
I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. A lot of them like lived through the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I could imagine it would be way down then. But I have read a bunch of stories that are like young people aren't having as much sex either.
Mhm.
So I guess that makes sense. And
Yeah.
like education, birth control being more widely accepted. I guess all those factors make sense for me.
Yeah. They even said states had something to do with it. Like certain
Wow.
states with like better sex education, those kids were having like they had lower rates of pregnancy because of the education aspect of it.
So many kids beating teen pregnancy. We're all proud of you.
Yeah. Okay, so this next story I don't know. You have to explain. What is it?
Okay. So the New York Times had like 2 bangers this week that I really wanted to talk about. Basically, this one specifically was about the concept of man-keeping and how it's turning women off.
What is man-keeping?
Yeah. So it's the work women do to meet the social and emotional needs of men in their lives. And that can range from like supporting your partners on a day-to-day basis, listening to them talk about their day, or like, you know, working through their inner turmoil or reminding them to call their friends.
Yeah.
And according to this story, in a 2020 survey, 15% of men said they didn't have any close friends. That's up 3% from 1990. And in 1990, nearly half of all young men said they would have reached out to friends when facing a personal issue. Nowadays, just 20% said the same. So pretty much, basically the expert that they interviewed in the story found women have all these like places for support. Like if I had an issue, I would call you or my mom or whatever.
Yeah.
And men just go to their partner. And you kind of become the workhorse of your house. Like not only are you probably doing like the mental load of raising your family or like running the household, you also now have to be like, hey, did you text so-and-so back? Like, hey, don't you want to go have boys night? Like whatever. You're often like kind of handling all of this emotional labor.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like they didn't have a solution. No surprise there. There's never a solution to any of these, but man keeping. Yeah. And I got to say that kind of, I mean, like, honestly, my husband sent me this story and was like, LOL, you.
That's a red flag.
I know. We're already married though. It's too late for red flags now, but
yeah.
And he, you know, I think it's something a lot of guys do struggle with. That we've talked about the male loneliness epidemic a lot.
Yeah. Well, even like the loneliness epidemic in the country in general and in the world. I mean, that's like so many factors, like social media and the way we live and everything has like changed so much in the past, I don't know, 20 years. So yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I do feel like that puts a lot of pressure on women in relationships to like be the not only like keeping everything together girly, but then like in addition, do you ever feel like you have to do that in your relationship?
Yeah, for sure. Like I run our household kind of, but like we split the financials, but then like, you know, if we need tinfoil or whatever, that's your girl.
Yeah.
And so also sometimes I have to be like, well, hey, you should like reach out to so-and-so because he doesn't have like as many friends as I do. I always am making plans or planning double dates, that kind of thing. And I think it's really not normal, but that's really common in heterosexual relationships. And I have to say like, I don't love that. I'm constantly trying to get him to do it on his own. He does. He's doing better. We're all proud of him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is about guys, but
I think
it's where they're socialized or something.
Yeah. And like, I feel like sometimes guys are like, I don't know. This is me literally just generalizing, but I feel like they have so much going on during the day. They have like work and stuff. And like by the time they get home, it seems like they're just like, I've got my partner and that's who I've got.
Yeah.
Like girls are more like, oh, I need to go like get more perspective. I need to go talk to my girlfriends. I need to like have these relationships. I need to do more active things. I feel like sometimes guys fall into a pattern. Like at least guys I've dated, they're like, oh, like I've got you. So like, that's kind of all I need. And like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it like, that puts a lot of pressure on the partner to like be the social one and to be the one that is like engaging. So yeah, it's interesting.
I also think some of it comes back to the kind of the gulf between men and women these days where like women are really interested in like self-actualization or bettering ourselves and like making more friends and living the best life we can be living. And I think it's really easy for men to be like, well, I found a partner.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
Made it to the top, you guys.
And like, it really is kind of like a little bit like babysitting. It's kind of a little
I think
bit
that's
like,
why it's called man keeping.
Yeah. It feels a little bit like babysitting.
Just a little. And obviously, like, nobody wants to babysit their partner. And so
No.
I think that's why everybody's talking about it a lot, you know? And
Yeah.
even this next story I also want to talk about from the Times.
Yeah.
It was, if you have a Times subscription, by the way, you should read these. But this one, it was titled "The Trouble with Wanting Men."
Okay.
And the general gist of it was that like women are so fed up with dating men that the phenomenon, they've given it a name called hetero-fatalism or
What's that?
hetero-pessimism.
What's it mean?
Meaning like straight women are just like over dating guys, but what can you do? So I'm still gonna date them. Like,
Yeah.
men are trash kind of energy.
Okay.
And this story like dives into the ethics of that mindset, how it can be like comforting and cathartic to talk, especially to like your girlfriends about it over brunch, especially when we might feel let down by men in cultural norms.
Mhm.
But it also has obvious downsides where it can become like limiting or defeatist or even sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy or self-sabotaging because you're like, well,
Yeah.
all men are trash. So then you end up finding yourself in situations where you're like, well, see, look, he messed up and now men are trash.
Right.
And so, yeah, the name of that is hetero-fatalism or hetero-pessimism.
So you're just like waiting for like the shoe to drop. You're just like waiting for something bad to happen. You know, I disagree with this because I feel like we can't be thinking like this because like then like what is the point? Like I'm not even going to try anymore if I'm like if I'm feeling hetero-fatalism. Like I just don't want to do it. Like
I just like why even get out of bed in the morning? I kind of get that. And I actually agree. I don't love it either.
Yeah, and I feel bad because I do feel like we do as a culture like feel very comfortable like putting a lot of blame on men these days. And like I do think like the same things that they're going through, like we just don't really talk about as much. And like everybody's going through these things, but like men for some reason are getting like the brunt of like, you know, some of the issues that people are having with society. So I feel like we just need to like cut these guys some slack and like just work with them. And I don't know. There are great guys out there.
There are. I know so many of them. I married one who does need to be kept occasionally, but apart from that.
You babysit occasionally.
Occasional babysitting. But you know, I have so many friends who married good guys too.
Yeah.
I think it's not fair to say that all men are trash or like to always be waiting for some BS to happen when you're dating a guy. And I think that sets you up that doesn't set you up for success, you know?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
No, I agree. So that's interesting. I feel like we need to get out of that self-sabotaging mindset.
I agree. I think the quantum dating we talked about last week was a much better way of looking at it. That was when you look at every date as a infinite possibilities for a new adventure, new experience, new person, maybe love, but even if not, maybe that's
just
okay.
like enlightening yourself.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's a much healthier way of looking at it. That would be my opinion. But I understand feeling down sometimes about how things are going because even me, I'm like, I've been playing this passive-aggressive contest with Suma. I'm like, what if I just don't buy groceries? How long will he go before he just buys groceries?
Never?
Indefinitely. He just won't buy them. You can literally order them to your house, you guys. Like, what?
What does he eat?
He'll just like girl dinner. He'll just eat randoms. Like, I came home the other day. He was eating like semi-sweet baking chocolate chips from the cupboard. And I was just like, sir, why are you like
snack?
This? No, what?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I only eat like chocolate. I mean, you eat the baking chips as the snack?
Yeah. Why was that weird?
Oh, I don't know. I thought that was weird, but
I mean,
maybe
if
I'm
it's
wrong.
his whole dinner, like,
no.
then,
I mean, like,
weird.
yeah, but he'll eat like just he'll eat stuff from the freezer, which is fine. Like, whatever. We all do that, of course. But like, he just will. Yeah, he'll eat. He will never go to the store.
Wow.
And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
I sent him to the store.
You log in. You log in for your man keeping shift.
No. Is there like a support group for this?
That's too funny.
It's fine. We're doing our best.
Yeah. And you know what? That's all we can do.
Exactly.
In this economy.
That's all we can do. Exactly, for sure.
Well, this has been a fun week.
Yeah, a little fatalistic, but I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was kind of a downer, but
no, but we ended on a good note because it's like, no, trust. I believe that things will work out.
Yes. And that's all you can do.
That is all you can do. And we still have our pets. So, hey.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you next one.
Bye.